They don't get to see the nipples, okay? They don't get to see that, so.
Oh, Ken Gold. Like right after it. He can say things like they don't get to see the nipples.
These
Uh,
people showed up for a show, and I can't believe that you're not going to treat them to your nipples.
you got to pay to play, man. I don't know what to tell you.
I think we should add that as a tier, right? Like $10 a month, right? And you get like one Donnie nipple slip or reveal.
When I do a dance session down at the local bar, it's not like I'm doing it for free. They got quarters and dimes and nickels and all that stuff coming at me.
Making it hail.
I
You're
need
up on
the
the
money.
bar top. You're up on the bar top, Coyote Ugly style.
Like dancing and they're flicking like quarters at me, like. Ding, ding.
That would explain all the bruises.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Webhead. 150th episode. Congratulations. And Simon Astor says, happy 69 plus 81th episode. I really appreciate the people who are keeping track of the math this
That's
long.
dedication.
Yeah, it really is. We're humbled.
If you do the 69,
welcome. What's that?
if you do the 69 again, I'll go grab the real guitar and play the riff.
Oh, wait.
I can't play the riff. I'm fine.
What are you?
You called me out. You called me out.
I think you need a refund.
It's an
I think you
instant
need a
call.
refund on those guitar lessons.
Like, I'm gonna bluff. I've got a pair of twos. Yeah, there's an ace, king, queen, and a jack on the board. Yeah, all in. Call. Like, oh god.
Shit. All right. Well, welcome to Gamers Week podcast. Like the name says, we analyze the best, the worst, and the weirdest headlines of the past week in the video game industry. This is episode 150, and today is Wednesday, January 29th, 2025. We suck at celebrating milestones. We have nothing special to be prepared for 150. We'll get you at 200. We promise. No, we won't. We were terrible at these. As Blue was saying before, we used to just go live, right? And now we do that every week. So we have no idea how to celebrate stuff. But with that being said, my name is Ryan, aka Retro Game Brews, and I will be your host for this evening. But I am not alone. I have two wonderful co-hosts with me. First of which is a woman who prefers her hose legs spread and their cream licked clean. Blue Williams. Blue, how are you doing today?
I don't even know if I can pretend that started innocently. That has a really innocent origin.
Chat, did you hear what he said? Like, he said hose, not ho-hos. I heard
Right.
a single hose.
Whoops, did I forget a hoe?
Simon Astor says, we have nothing special, but you have us.
Yay!
That is very true.
She likes her hose.
And
I mean, he's
next
not
up-
wrong, I'm just saying.
And next up, a man whose secret identity is that of a hero who hunts chocolate-covered, cream-filled sponge cakes in their natural habitat, known as the Chocodile Hunter. Donnie, how you doing tonight?
Crikey! There's one out in the wild, mate. I talked to my wife about this the other day. I told her, what we were talking about with the snack cakes and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I love the Chocodiles, but I can't stand the Ding Dongs. And she's like, they're the same thing. And I'm like, huh? And she's like, you've got the chocolate coating, you've got the spongy cake, and then you've got the cream filling. And I'm just like, motherfucker.
Well, it's kind of like Subway, how everything tastes the same anyway, because it's all just a rearranging of the same ingredients. And Taco Bell is the same way, McDonald's the same way. So yeah, Hostess, everything tastes the same. It's just what packages it in.
Ah, Katie.
And Sam Disfaction says, so are the Aragorn scented candle jokes done? And I had a feeling I would need this.
What is that? We got a board. We got a board count.
A dry erase
You
board.
gotta put another tally.
Yep. Every time somebody's got to bring up the fact that Aragorn stinks in an episode.
Oh,
We're gonna add to the board.
Stinky Aragorn.
Yep.
Chocolate Dial Hunter sounds like cut content from a Willy Wonka movie, and we're all poorer for it.
And Puzzle Better says, AKA, it's all about the package.
Right.
All right, so why don't we jump into our reviews, reactions, and requests. First up from Beamstock6475, episode 149 was so much fun, guys. Always enjoy it. Thank you, Beamstock.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Kisses.
Tesseract Unfold says, I hope they hire dramatic actors, not comedians, to deliver the lines that are going to be hilarious, but only if they're delivered with serious gravitas. Peter Graves and Robert Stack were so much funnier in Airplane because they weren't mugging. And he's talking, of course, about which movie?
The Helldivers. 2.
Helldivers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I agree. And actually, Leslie Nielsen was not a comedic actor for most of his career until
Right.
Airplane. So he was like a serious actor, and then he deadpans it the whole time, and it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect.
Well, I could have sworn that Police Squad was on way before Airplane.
No, that's a good point. Maybe.
Yeah.
But I know that at one point in his career, that's what he was. He was a serious actor and kind of made his way into comedy, and then started doing like Naked Gun and a whole bunch of different stuff.
Yeah, love Leslie Nielsen. He is my spirit animal.
And
Right, Brad, they're saying your volume is low.
My volume is low. All right, let me see.
Isn't it
Hold
our?
on.
Please.
Wouldn't it be our volume? It's not just his, it's ours.
All right, how about now? Can you guys hear me louder?
It's about the same.
Yeah. Satisfaction says, we're loud as heck. It's just Rye Bread.
And he likes it like that.
All right, how about now?
There, that was good.
That was
was good.
plenty loud. Yeah, that was
There we
plenty
go.
loud.
All right, better, perfect. All right, so glad I could fix that with a burp. All right, last up, Gaming Again says, not to brag, but I kicked ass in your trivia. Thanks for the ego boost. Well, that's nice for you. I guess you weren't under pressure to get answers correct live on stream. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say.
Under
like you see
pressure.
those people that they quiz on like the streets, right?
Yeah.
They're like, what's
Mhm.
the capital or whatever, and we're all laughing at them because they get the really obvious answers wrong, and it's because of the situation they're in, right?
Oh yeah.
Is it?
They're under pressure.
Is it? Is it?
Is it? Is it?
I'm rolling with
Is
that,
it
okay?
though? Is it though?
That's
I
my
want
story, and
my
I'm sticking
ego
to
be
it.
Okay, I don't want my ego to take a bruise, so just roll with it, okay? Just go with
Just pull Steve Winwood. Roll with it, baby.
it. All right, so why don't we go ahead and shout out our patrons?
We couldn't do what we do without the help of our gorgeous patrons. Here are the generous folks supporting Gamers Week on Patreon. Zach Huge Thanks, Puzzle Better, #1 Blue Sick Voice Fan, John Barron, Sassy Sony, Evo Lust, Rai Rai's Secret Best Friend, Mega Retro Man, Gameatroid, Moradib, Michael Lakite, Emo-esque, Bill Tucker, The Real Retro Game Brews, Fruitcakes Pickled Pepper, Ducks with Thick Thighs, absolutely the best podcast, A Work in Progress, Wizard of Zardoz, Bobson Dugnut, Blues Little Sis, Loud Moth, Retro Blast Pat, B&T Zilla Guy, The Mad Milkman, Seven Castle Forest, Crunchy Kong, Sheriff Snacks, Frank Grande, Love Retro BTW, Steven Sand, Ramboski, Terry Canair, AJIL 2020, Don't Make Me Pull This Car Over, Games with Coffee, Hybrid Divide, You Fall Before Me, Davey PGH, and the Pixel Pond family, including Shannon and Luke. If you like what you hear today, and we really hope you do, please consider joining us on Patreon. Your support helps cover the cost of producing the show, as well as other cool stuff we'll be doing like prizes and giveaways. You'll also gain access to our bi-weekly patron-only bonus cast called Gamers Week Uncut, Patrons with Benefits. Visit patreon.com/gamersweek or follow the link in the show notes to learn more.
Excellent. So why don't we go ahead and take a look at our headlines for the week?
All right. Our headline segment is proudly sponsored by the Retro Game Club podcast. It's a fantastic, family-friendly retro gaming podcast. In each episode, Rob picks two games
Oh,
Nice catch.
to play and
nice catch.
discuss. Sorry, just rubbing it in there.
It was an not autopilot. I get it.
As well as news, interviews, and other topics. Right now, they want to know what's a bad game with good music.
Hmm.
Also, shout out to Gun BR in the RCG Discord for the question idea. So send your answers to email at retrogameclub.net or follow the links in the show notes.
Bad games with good music?
Bad games with good music.
Huh.
I'll go ahead and start off.
Okay.
Sonic 06.
Oh,
I think
okay.
everyone can agree is a bad game. But you know, the soundtrack is kind of fun. It's all like mid 2000s anime sincerity and epicness, and it's cheesy, but it's kind of fun. I like it.
Okay.
I think there are a lot of games that have great music that are bad. The first one that comes to mind is Bill Lambier's Combat Basketball. That is a terrible game. I will die on the hill that I enjoyed playing it as a kid. I didn't know it was a bad game.
Yeah, there you
People
go.
informed me. But it's got some tracks that slap, my friend. Especially like the gameplay. So it's like, I don't know, like third tier or whatever. Have that on my phone. Play it all the time.
I don't really have an answer for this one. I'm not privy to a lot of bad games because I don't play them. So it's not like I know them well enough to know them intimately in their soundtrack. So I'm gonna be on this question for this week.
You're missing that level of intimacy in your life.
I am.
What about
It's a huge.
and actually
huge loss.
Clayman brought it up, and I wanted to bring it up too. NES TMNT, that scene in the water, right?
Yeah.
That's an amazing soundtrack.
It is, but I don't believe that to be a bad game.
Oh yes, it is.
No, it's hard. It's difficult. It's not a bad game.
Fight,
It's a-
fight.
It's a bad game because I don't think that it truly captures the magic that is TMNT.
It.
Right.
You're right. But it's like what it had available at the time.
That's fair, but any game that turtles can't swim in, instantly bad.
That turtles can't. They can. They could swim.
So there's one scene where they do. Everywhere else in the freaking game, if you fall in the water, the turtle goes.
Yeah.
and floats
I get you. Okay.
Clayman says, so all that enemy glitching and shit was designed on purpose.
out.
Yeah.
Or like how the Technodrome slows down terrible when it's in the front, when it's got the electricity showing up. So like the too many sprites on the screen makes it almost unbearable to play.
I
Until you
get that.
to the point where like it's off screen and
I've never encountered the Terradrome in that game, so I have no frame of reference.
it's hard. And that in particular, the Technodrome, I have died so many times. And the thing is, like, I remember right too, it's never in the same spot. It's always randomly comes up. So if you'll have to travel around a billion times to find it. Bad game. It's a bad game.
I respectfully
you should
disagree.
Feel bad for liking it.
You should.
You didn't make it that far, Johnny, because it's a bad game. No, it's not. I actually did make it past. Like I think I rescued Splinter and all that stuff, and I got to the part where like almost was gonna be able to see the Technodrome, but then I was just like, you know what? I'm done.
Frank has said, I think Ryan's just flexing because none of us have gotten to the Technodrome.
Right, exactly.
I didn't have a whole lot of games as a kid. Okay? I've actually never beaten the game, for my recollection, but I definitely have made it to the Technodrome a bunch of times.
Puzzle
think I've
says,
gotten-
there are no bad TMNT games. Fight me.
Tournament fighters on the NES.
You guys want to fight Puzzle that bad, huh?
Yeah, Tournament Fighters was not great.
Tournament fighters.
Tournament.
All right. So first up, Xbox boss Phil Spencer.
Drink.
Drake.
said its brand identity is evolving now that keeping first party games exclusive to its own platform is no longer a path for Xbox. In recent appearance of the Destin's channel, Spencer discussed the company's changing viewpoint on exclusivity. There's no reason for me to put a ring fence around any game and say that the game will not go to a place where it would where it would find players, where it would have business success for us, Spencer explained. Our strategy is to allow our games to be available. He also shared that his belief that the current console generation is too similar, and he wants to see the next iteration of Xbox offer innovations that will make it an easier choice for players. I want us to innovate and make the hardware the differentiator, explained Spencer. I love when I see handhelds, when I see kind of unique things that hardware manufacturers do, and I want our hardware to compete. So let's have our platform continue to innovate with services and the hardware work that we're doing. I think that's our identity going forward, and it's working for us now.
I think if you translate this, it says, we're losing
Mhm.
because we're not different enough than Sony and everybody is just buying Sony.
Pretty
And
much.
it's funny to me. Like Xbox is like, let's change things up. Let's innovate because we really haven't done that a whole lot, right? The formula's been the same. Let's just make
Well, up until
consoles
now, it hasn't been broken, so why would you change it?
but Nintendo is going, let's just stay with the Switch.
Well, is it the fact
So-
that they don't have that many first party titles that come out to the Xbox? It's like
I don't
because
think so.
yeah, if you don't have that many games that are exclusive to the Xbox, it doesn't make sense. Yeah, flood them out to all the other places because none of this whole exclusivity stuff. Nobody's gonna buy your system just for one game. I think that shit's out the window, especially with the way systems cost money nowadays, $5.99, $6.99, or whatever. Nobody's buying that for one freaking game.
I think there were probably a certain percentage of people who did buy it for Starfield or for a Halo or something, but
Mhm.
it's been a while since they've had a first party game really live up to being worth buying a whole
Yeah.
console for. I mean, the Xbox of yore, yeah, totally, not a problem. The Xbox of late, yeah, not so much. The best thing they had going for them was Indiana Jones, and they promised long before that was out and proved to be a success that they were going to spread that around to other consoles. It's
Mhm.
got its limited exclusivity right now, but I don't mind waiting till spring. Not a problem.
And honestly, when it comes down to it, I think this is just his way of saying we're going to be innovating in the future. Um, is to say we probably won't be in the console market forever, and it doesn't make sense
Is it
for
time
them.
for
Dongle.
No.
dongles?
Dun, dun,
No?
dun, 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 dun. Sega.
Oh, is it time for Sega to come over?
I mean,
A
there
good
were a
save.
couple Sega headlines that were so depressing, I didn't even put them on here.
Oh, I gotta do that.
Well, you know what? And my prediction for this year was Sega was going to do something. I took that baton from you and have moved forward with it, and so I'm
You did the
also
pass,
yeah
and Ryan took it, and he's going.
So
equally disappointed.
I don't think they're getting away from uh, actual consoles because he basically just says that he wants to make the hardware the differentiator. He wants to see like he's inspired by these other manufacturers, so he wants Microsoft to go ahead and do that, be that inspiration as well. So I don't imagine them getting out of the hardware market anytime soon. They have to do something that's going to make like the handheld that's coming out, like the Portal, the PlayStation Portal that came out, or what have you. I don't know if the console is ready to be gone. I know and agree with him when there is no differentiator between the Xbox X and the PS5.
There is
Nothing stands out as far as
hardly
comparison.
anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
It's just a box.
yeah. See, Claimant71 says evolving equals what we're doing currently isn't working out. Sam Disfaction says, I'd say the only way Microsoft has of surviving is putting games on the Switch. Considering
Mhm.
Nintendo doesn't have that many games of that kind on it, that cooperation would be the best way to move forward for Microsoft until they make their dongle
Giggity. Uncle.
with actual games. And then we got a bunch of dongle emotes in the chat, which is
Love it.
mwah.
Yeah, chef kiss.
You can't really have with the way the Switch is currently. It would have to be the Switch 2. So when the Switch 2 comes out, now you can start making games that were on the PS5 or the Xbox S or Xbox X. Now you can have them come to the Switch 2 because porting them to the current Switch is going to look like dog doo doo. Dog
Yeah, well, the
squeeze.
Switch 2 will have PS4 capabilities, most likely. So then they can take all their last gen games, port them over to a Switch for a whole new audience who never bought an Xbox.
Right.
It's funny to me. It's like Switch and Switch 2 starts their life off by just porting stuff from another system. That's how they get how it becomes
Yeah.
popular. Like, you know what? All the Wii U games that you never played because you never bought one, we'll just take those. Right? Now you love them, don't you? Don't you love them? All right,
I
we're
mean,
coming out this Switch 2. Because you owned you owned a Nintendo console, you probably didn't play anything that was on PS4. Brand new shiny games. Enjoy.
brand new-ish shiny games. New to you. Shiny
Brand
games.
new-ish. Yeah.
New to you, yes.
New to you, shiny games. There you go.
But I don't see a future where they can compete unless they do something drastic. I mean, they've got Game Pass. Don't get me wrong. Game Pass is huge, but Game Pass is not their hardware. It's their system, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's their
Mhm.
interface or whatever. Um, and it's available on PC anyway. So if in the event that you went out that direction, you could probably still keep quite a few Game Pass subscribers. So the I mean, the current market, they've tried VR when it comes to PlayStation, that hasn't really taken off, right?
No.
Nintendo has the whole handheld thing, and PlayStation's also tried that quite a few times. That hasn't taken off. They would have to come up with something that we haven't seen yet from an interactive piece in order for this to be successful, and I just don't know what else is out there. I
I-
don't know what you could do to make games more fun or interactive. Haptics, maybe? I don't know.
Yes. There's that, but
Haptics would be legit.
when you talk about the VR system for the PlayStation, you're talking about a price entry point
Mhm.
because not only are you spending almost $600 for a system, now you got to spend what, $400 or $300 for a VR set to go along with that system? That's way too much money. GoldenEye
Yeah,
1971
that-
says holograms.
I agree that VR for the PlayStation priced itself out, and especially when you can go and buy something that's like pretty cheap, like a Oculus headset and stuff, if you want to play VR stuff. Um,
No. No.
no,
Smell-o-vision games.
right.
That's what
If,
it's going to be.
right,
Ooh.
oh, smell-o-vision, Aragon.
Good thing we already have a mark on the board for
Right,
this
right,
episode.
right. New Lord of the Rings game.
And real quick, before we move on, Puzzle Better says, I don't look at gaming headlines anymore. Apparently, I can only find gaming news palatable through the humor lens of Gamers Week. Congrats, you have ruined
Aw.
me.
I love it.
We're
Thanks,
like, that's about
Puzzle.
the best compliment we could ever have.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's two sides of a coin, right? Well, I feel glad that we can entertain you and provide you with news headlines, but I also feel bad I ruined you
I don't.
a little bit.
I don't feel bad.
She will never quit us.
All right, next up, PlayStation Studio boss. I mean, should that be a drink too?
No,
Not
Xbox
anymore.
boss.
Not anymore. Once you read it.
Herman Hulse appears to have gotten a slight demotion. Nope, yep, you're right. As he is no longer the co-CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment, the company responsible for PlayStation. PlayStation has had a rough go in recent years, especially compared to the highs that it felt during the entirety of the PS4 generation. Many hoped that momentum would carry into the PS5 generation, but it has been pretty rocky. On top of the struggling out of the gate with COVID related issues, it was clear PlayStation made wrong moves while mapping out its generation. It bought Bungie.
Ryan?
Right, I'm swimming in it. It bought Bungie and bet big on live service games, yet one live service game title after another has been canceled. On top of that, major studios like Naughty Dog have yet to release a new game for the console. Now, Hideki Nishino has been promoted as sole CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment, and Hulse will remain in charge of PlayStation Studios and assist in Sony Interactive Entertainment in developing its franchises into films and television shows. While the move could be related to Sony's downward momentum, it's also possible that co-CEO position was also temporary as the company evaluated its post-plan Jim Ryan era. So, Furman.
Holst.
I go back and forth on this about whether he got demoted for the live service uh
Debacle?
disaster,
Yeah.
debacle. I don't know. What's the right term for it? Kerfuffle.
Gamble. It was a gamble.
It was a
Yeah.
gamble, but that's not quite the drama I wanted out of it. But
Oh, I
anyway,
apologize.
because that stuff was decided long before he
Mhm.
was named co-CEO. So in some ways, what's happening now couldn't possibly be his fault. But on the other hand, we all know that sometimes you need a sacrificial lamb to take the brunt of it, so the rest of us can go on and continue earning our millions and making bad decisions. So maybe they gave him a nice cushy, job over making movies instead. But he still got to be the whipping boy for what's been going on.
I mean, yeah, especially large corporations, they like to pin this scapegoat, but he still works there. So I'm not sure 100% if that's the route they were taking. Usually if somebody's like that, it's we parted ways with this person.
Yeah.
Right.
We've gone in a different direction, you know. Um I got to be honest with you. I'm For him to be in charge of making movies and TV shows, that's got to be way more fun.
Well, it's got to be a way better deal too, because I don't think you're probably going to get crucified quite as much.
Unless you make like the Halo series.
Well, and
That
things.
was really popular the first season.
Oh, people
No?
hated that so
Really?
much. It was like, why do they have a gay character? And
What?
yeah.
You're not really going to get fired for that, though, are you?
The things with movies and TV though is
Are
that
you?
things can change. You can be dynamic with those. So if
You can.
one thing doesn't work, you can go back to the drawing board really quickly, roll out another episode, things are completely different. They're like, "Oh, yeah, we love it."
And it's easier to recycle stuff. So if you just want to take an old formula and package it in something new, it's easy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe like a Laura Croft sitcom, probably not a great idea.
Ugh.
Laura Croft via Seinfeld.
Sam Disfaction says the fella that pushed the acquisition of the Firewalk Studios is the new solo president. This can only be good news, right? Right?
Only.
Only.
Mm.
And welcome in, Doongie. You have missed. We said dongle a bunch of times.
It's true.
Dungy, dongle, Dungy, dongle.
Yep. And Donnie, yes, as Frank says, Donnie is refusing to show his nipples a second time. Ryan and I got a treat before the show, but now
Right.
he's being.
I didn't
bashful.
miss the nipples.
Is
I wouldn't say that I'm happy I saw them either. I don't
Well-
want to give him too much of an ego boost.
okay. Wait a second. Whenever we first started talking tonight, recording, you were all talking about how my beard gets all scratchy someplace. So, and now you're going to say that you didn't
Something
enjoy
that will
seeing
never
this?
make the
Yeah.
episode.
Golden Eye
No
says,
proof. There is no proof now.
"Oh, there is. That's the super deep uncut." What's the deal with all the Tomb Raiders?
Anyway, Sony. Yeah, I don't think we'll ever know if these two things are related, but it will be interesting to see what Hideaki Nishino does from here on out to right the ship, so to
Well,
speak.
that's the question: is where do you go from investing a butt ton of cash into a series of games that are all of the same kind of genre? How do
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
pivot from that to save the studio, if you will? I mean, granted, they've got enough cash right now that I'm sure it's not going to, put them, you know what, up. But as far as things go, that reputation, it's funny. It's like PS1 was okay, PS2 was great. PS3 was PS4 was great. So it's the odd number ones. It's like the Star Treks, you know?
I guess, but there's nothing wrong with the PS5. They're just not making games.
Well, that's it though. Is they didn't treat it well, right? There's nothing wrong with
Right.
the PlayStation 3 either,
Right.
Right.
No,
realistically,
fair.
you
Fair.
know?
Fair.
So,
They'll just march on down to Naughty Dog and see like, you guys are pretty much our most important studio, so if you could do something,
Make something.
that'd be
yeah,
super.
guys,
Make
could you
something.
save our asses again?
Right.
Now, are we 100% sure that Herman Hulst was not the person responsible for pushing the live service games?
We're not, but
Okay.
just that these things, assuming that these things still take 5 to 6 years to make,
Right.
these plans were in effect long before he became co-CEO.
Which is true. But under his regime, a lot of those were canceled, though.
Yeah,
So the
exactly.
decision to cancel
Mhm.
may have some cash.
So the board was like, wait a second. He's pushing this and it's already failing. Like, let's not even go down that road. Let's not take that chance. Let's just go ahead and nip it in the bud right now.
Yep.
Nipple it in the bud.
Nipple. Nice to meet your nipple.
You know,
And yes, it
there's
is our
some nip in the butt.
150th episode. You thought it was nip it in the butt?
Mhm.
Huh.
Mm.
And
Sorry. Sorry to disappoint you.
you never watched the Andy Griffith Show?
I mean, like on Nick at Night when it would come out.
Yeah.
I was mostly at that hour. I had some enhancements,
You don't
either
think
of
Don
the
Knotts was talking about butts?
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to
you gotta
ask.
nip it right in the butt, Andy.
What are you talking
Don Knotts
about?
was talking about butts.
Thank you, Ramboski. Ramboski says congrats on the 150. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, thank you.
All right, so next up, we should really have seen this coming, but tickets for the upcoming Nintendo Switch 2 Experience hands-on event are being listed on eBay. With Nintendo providing confirmation to prospective attendees over the last couple of days, it's become clear that those who have been unsuccessful in their application far outweigh those who have been successful. Naturally, a few people have decided that instead of attending themselves or getting hands on time with the Nintendo's new console, they are attempting to bag a cool chunk of cash by listing the tickets on eBay for purchase. At the time of writing, a ticket for Milan is currently available for either a minimum bid of £80 or a buy it now price of £300. Quite a range. The problem with this whole thing is that Nintendo itself has explicitly stated that Nintendo Switch 2 Experience tickets are non-transferable, so it seems unlikely in our eyes that any potential eBay sale would actually result in the buyer attending the event. The event itself kicks off in New York and Paris on the 4th of April, with various other global locations holding their own hands-on sessions throughout the remainder of April and May, ending 1st of June in Seoul, Korea. I hate people.
Yeah,
Just gonna throw that out there.
But you love
Yeah.
gatherings. Isn't that ironic?
But I love gatherings. I caught that reference.
Thank you. I knew you would. I love the fact that Nintendo is actually doing this because it reminds me of the deluxe set drop for the NES that was
Mhm.
only in New York, and then they expanded it to like LA and I believe Chicago after that. But yeah, the deluxe set only dropped in New York, and now they're doing the same thing with the Switch 2 in only 2 different locations. But I mean, come on, how many tickets do you expect them to be able to give away to this thing?
well, It's a little bit like the what was the Nintendo thing that they were doing up at the same time as the last one where you had to or you had to enter and then they just randomly picked whoever they wanted to go attend to the
Yeah, it was like in Seattle, right?
right.
Yeah, that was
Like
super.
Nintendo Fest or whatever.
Yeah,
Right.
Nintendo Fest.
Yeah, something like that. That's the annoying part is that you can't just go buy a ticket. So I can see where some people might think that, yeah, well, we'll just sell it and people will pay a gazillion dollars. But yeah, you got to read the fine print about the non-transferable part.
The reason why you can't buy a ticket is because scalpers and bots. Somebody would have a bot. They would rig it to say, okay, whenever these go on sale, now I've got all the tickets and I can sell them on the resale market. That's why. So I
Mhm.
like the way that Nintendo does this when they do a drawing for it. It makes it seem legitimate and everybody has a fair shake. But if they were to sell these things like, hey, you can buy these like going live now, bam, immediately they would be gone in seconds because all the bots would buy them up.
I'm gonna gently disagree, but yeah, thank you. I can't see says Nintendo Live. That's what I was struggling to remember.
Ah.
But
And he brings
Go
up a good point here. He says, "Why not do the big bus tour like they did with the OG Switch?" I agree. I thought that was cool when they were doing that around, I mean, North America, but you could do that easily, right? And at the end of the day, um, it would be something where you couldn't sell it on eBay because they would just show up places. I mean, granted, there would probably be people who would like create an entire apps and websites for tracking the movement of these bus tours. But the point being is that it would be more spontaneous, right? It wouldn't be the person with the best or quickest internet connection is the one who gets this stuff, or the
Yeah.
person who logs on at the exact right time. Which I can't stand with those things. So, like when a new console accessory comes out or a limited run game comes out, and you only got 2 minutes to get into line, and you're not going to be the one who gets whatever. Like analog, anything to analog releases something. I'm never the person that gets picked ever, right?
yeah, no, you
Um,
that's fair. You guys are making good points, but I still dislike the apparent like favoritism that Nintendo is showing about who gets to go and who doesn't. I don't
I
like
mean, go ahead.
them deciding.
Sony did that, didn't they, when it came to access to the PlayStation
And
4
I
or
didn't like that
PlayStation
either.
5?
That was
Oh,
bullshit.
But you bought one because somebody gave that to you. Um,
Yeah, I bought it from somebody else who had one. Um, but just companies just randomly deciding or I don't that's the thing is I don't even think it's random. I think Nintendo has criteria that they don't share about how they pick who gets to go.
which I mean, for them at least, do you think it has to do with them wanting a particular audience there?
could be. They don't want the riffraff there.
They can tell by how you interact in the games that you play on
Yeah.
your Switch, right?
Yeah.
This guy's an asshole.
Maybe
I don't
they
know.
do scour like social media or something. Like they'll take your name and
That's
like
an
do a Google
awful
search
lot
and
of
stuff like that.
homework.
True. But what way would you suggest this go about? If you're not happy with the current process, what way would you suggest?
Maybe don't sell tickets.
Yeah.
They're
Just
not
show
selling
up.
tickets.
Well, there are tickets though.
They're not
They're
selling
not
them.
selling them per se if you want to be like pedantic about it, but there are tickets. You have to have tickets before you can get into the event. So I don't know, maybe just say we're going to be in New York on these days. Come stand in line and earn it or something. I don't know.
Oof.
But to me this doesn't feel any more fair than trying to combat scalpers. But that's just my personal opinion.
I think
Both
the problem,
suck. You're right.
yeah,
Yeah, both suck.
the problem with telling them is like, oh, we're going to be in New York on this day. Well, that only restricts it to people that are in New York. It doesn't give anybody else a chance that like, oh, since I live in Missouri, yeah, like, I'll fly to New York. And by the time I get there, there's a line to Kalamazoo, Michigan, and I'm never going to be able to get into it.
Yeah, but how is that different than now?
What do you mean?
To be fair though, the
To be fair.
drive to Kalamazoo, Michigan is much shorter than New York City.
I'm talking about the line stretches from New York to Kalamazoo.
I know, but you're gonna have to go there anyway.
So Clayman says Big Nintendo is always watching. They have a naughty or nice list.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Anyway,
I mean, we're on the naughty list because
yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Anyway, so we don't agree about how this should be done, but bottom line, don't buy one of these from scalpers because that's just a waste of your money.
Yeah, and you wouldn't be able to get in anyway.
Yep.
All right, next up, 4 studios are battling it out to once again reboot Capcom's Resident Evil movie franchise. Only this time, PlayStation Production Studios, or PlayStation Productions, is also on board. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Warner Brothers and Netflix are amongst a number of hopefuls looking to reboot Constantine's film horror series alongside PlayStation Production Company. Writer and director of 2022's Barbarian, Zach Kreger, is attached to write and direct it and is reportedly keen to keep its Resident Evil adaptation faithful to the games that spawned the multi-million-dollar multimedia franchise. Whilst little else is known about the project at this time, it's thought Shay Hatten, who helped pen John Wick Chapter 4 and Army of the Dead, is on board to co-write the 7th major installment of the horror movie series. Prior 6 movies all starred Mila Djokovic, apart from the last attempted reboot, which released in 2021. There's also an ill-fated Netflix show that was unceremoniously canceled within a month of its debut episode following disappointing reviews, with one commenter stating terrible, followed by more terrible. And just when you lose all hope, it smacks you with even more terrible. I love this person.
Well said.
So are you excited for this? Big breath.
I've been hurt
The
so many
movies
times
can't
before.
get worse. Yes, exactly. I've been hurt so many times. The movies can't get worse than what they were. They were so bad. They went off into they were completely their own thing that had nothing to do with Resident Evil.
That's debatable.
I'm sorry, was that a squeak of disagreement?
That's Debating Manning saying that's debatable. The first
I mean,
movie
you
had
love Resident Evil 2. What about that was Resident Evil?
Resident Evil the movie?
Mhm.
I don't remember
about the movie
Resident
with
Evil
Resident-
2 the movie. I remember the original
I said
Resident
you-
Evil.
No, I said you love Resident Evil 2. As in also.
Also, okay. Well,
TOO.
yeah, that's I'm like Resident Evil 2. Like I didn't say specifically I love that movie. The first movie when it came out, I was like it had everything to do with Resident Evil. But the way they packaged it together. Yes, it's got come on, man. It's got zombies, it's got the Umbrella Corporation, it's got the everything to do with Resident Evil. Don't sit there and play me like that. The first one, it's
How should I play you?
Like a fiddle.
like Charlie Daniels. Tegan85 says the first movie is even a solid zombie film. I agree. It's a
Solid
decent,
zombie film does not a Resident Evil film make.
You throw in a dash of zombie, the virus and the T virus and all that stuff, and there you go. You've got a Resident Evil film. But it didn't feel like it was part of the actual story. Yes, it had lickers, if I remember correctly. You had the zombies, you had the lickers, you had the T virus and all that stuff, but it didn't feel like it was packaged well together. And subsequently, like the next couple of Resident Evil movies, I was just like checked out. I didn't care. I don't care if there's like 6 of them. I've never seen anything past the second one.
And I think that because they had done so many, right? So many sequels to it, without a whole lot of faithfulness to the original IP. I'm sure there were fans of the movies, otherwise they wouldn't have made so many, right?
Mr. Blue owns the full DVD set.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that it was tailored towards fans of the game. It was probably more tailored towards fans of the horror genre. Um, and I've never liked Mila Jovovich as an actress. I don't think that she's particularly good at that. Got to be honest. And you know what?
Yeah,
Uh,
Lilu was her best role, and then after anything after
Yes.
that has been
yeah, Lilu Dallas
yeah.
multipass.
Yeah. Yeah, GoldenEye. There was the Welcome to Raccoon City, which I think was an attempt at a reboot, but it seemed like they just went by and checked boxes to like put characters in without
Yeah.
really understanding who those characters were meant to be in the games. Like that Leon, that was hashtag not my Leon. That Leon was terrible in that movie.
Hashtag not my Leon.
So it sounds like Zach, though, he understands the assignment, right?
Hopefully.
Looking to make a faithful adaptation of this, because that really, at the end of the day, has not existed yet
Right.
up until this
Right.
point, which in itself could be a great. I mean, that the subject matter for Resident Evil games could really be a fantastic movie or TV series. Let's
Mhm.
be honest. And it's baffling to me that nobody has really taken it on. I mean, then again, Mario wasn't really a game that had much success in the movie realm until like recently. So I guess maybe I shouldn't speak too quickly, but um cautiously optimistic because I don't want it to be terrible, more terrible, and just when you hope
They slap you in
Right.
the
it's even
face.
more terrible.
I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say I don't want Netflix to do it though.
Ooh, good call.
I don't want them to have anything to do with this.
But okay. Let me ask you a question. Did Netflix do Castlevania?
Yes.
Okay, then there you go.
Don't undermine my argument.
You're welcome. You're welcome. No, Netflix.
Okay,
Netflix can do something good.
Netflix did really, really well with the Castlevania anime adaptations, but by and large, they are terrible custodians of the IP that are under their care. Absolutely awful.
And Tekken85 said Netflix animation and Netflix live action should not be considered the same.
Thank you, Terry.
Don't take her side, man. Come on now.
It's the correct side.
Well, whatever. And you know, I'm not really that enthused because this Shay Hatton, who helped pen John Wick Chapter 4, John Wick Chapter
that
4
was a
sucked.
bad movie.
John Wick
did.
Chapter
It
3
did.
sucked. It's like a constant, like, there was very little talking and it was all shooting. Like, I don't want to sit there and watch a 2-hour shoot fest. Like, I'm checked out. Like, if there's no interesting
Yeah.
dialogue to build the characters, nothing. Like, no, sorry. I can only see him
No.
kill people the same way so many times before I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I don't care what else happens in this movie.
John Wick 4 was when they completely jumped the shark and just decided that logic need not be a part of this film whatsoever.
Right.
But Netflix already had their shot at their Netflix adaptation, and it was awful. So, just do us a solid and have somebody else do this besides Netflix. That's all I'm saying.
I don't agree with
All
that,
right,
but
so-
whatever.
Jay Dragon says, itchy tasty.
Nice. Well done. All right. So why don't we go ahead and take a look at our top 3 new releases?
Orcs Must Die, Death Trap, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. Orcs Must Die, Death Trap combines chaotic third-person combat with devious trap-laying strategy. Enjoy endless replayability as your war mage grows stronger through roguelite progression. Repel relentless orc hordes solo or with up to 4 players. Phantom Brave, The Lost Hero, PS5 and Switch. Join Morona and her phantom friends on a mission to defeat the sinister shipwreck fleet. Recruit phantoms, bind them to objects, combine them with gadgets, and even merge them with Morona herself in this play-it-your-way, gridless strategy RPG. The Stone of Madness, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Switch, and PC. From the creators of Blasphemous, The Stone of Madness is a real-time tactical stealth game set in an 18th century Spanish monastery. 5 prisoners pool their skills and resources to face their phobias, stave off insanity, uncover the mysteries of the monastery, and find a way to escape. And based on these 3 great definitions this week, Blue, what are you picking?
Orcs Must Die. It's like a tower defense. It's like a third-person shooter tower defense game with Fortnite graphics. It's not for me. I don't know what's going on there, but it's not for me. Phantom Brave: The Lost Hero. I don't typically go for strategy RPGs, though I do sometimes if it feels like the right game for me. This does not feel like the right game for me. The tone, at least in the trailer that I watched, it's so saccharine sweet. I can't. So that leaves me with Stone of Madness, which actually I thought looked really, really different and interesting. I enjoyed Blasphemous, so if this is from the same studio, I know they, at least in the past, have done stuff that I like, but it just, like, the art style and the way the game is structured, it looks different from anything else I've ever played. So, of these 3, that's the one I'm most interested in.
Very nice. Ryan, what about you?
So taking a look at Orcs Must Die, Death Trap, Blue, I think you nailed it on the nose. In fact, there is a version of Fortnite called Save the World that is exactly
Mhm.
this.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, okay.
right. So
So
it's
you can
like
play it for free. You don't have to buy this.
that's the whole point. I was like, why does this exist? One of the most popular games of all time already has a sub part of the game where you can play this. So whatever. Maybe it's more. It
Oh,
looks
okay.
like
Terry says that part of Fortnite is you have to pay for it.
Oh, really? Okay, then that shows how much I know.
Right.
Uh, but nonetheless, I think the biggest difference is that you can upgrade stuff. So you can upgrade your traps, you can upgrade your version of it. So there's like a progression tree. But none of that sounds fun to me at all. Phantom Brave: The Lost Hero is the chibis. Oh my god, so much chibi.
Chibi level is over 9,000.
Yes. Now I like the idea of this thing where you can take these ghosts and put them in objects, and that will change how they're used or represented. I love that. But it's so corny, like you said, like bubblegum almost in a way that it just takes away from everything else. So
Mhm.
I would be distracted by that.
Mhm.
Stone Madness looks cool. Like the art style, I think is great as well. There's like a sanity meter, which I've never liked in games. I will say that, unless it's like a horror game, right? Then the sanity meter is a little bit fun. But it's a stealth game, and I suck at stealth. I really do. I don't
Mm.
have the patience for
That sounds
stealth.
like a skill problem.
It does. You're not wrong. I'm not admitting.
Ooh.
Or I'm not saying that it's not my fault, right?
Mm.
Um, so it's a 0 for me this week. I would not pick any
Oh,
of these.
Sad day.
okay.
Sad day. Donnie, what about you?
Well, the Orcs Must Die Death Trap. God, you hit it on the head where it looks like it's a tower defense game, just kind of like upgraded. Like, okay, now I can play tower defense and run around in third person. Sorry, not interested. Whatever. I've seen the gameplay videos, and it looks like just total and utter chaos. Like where I would get confused and all that stuff, and I'm just not. I'm not feeling it. The Phantom Brave: The Lost Hero, RPG. Okay, it looks incredibly kid friendly, I guess. Like with your guys' the whole chibi thing, it's cutesy and stuff. I like my RPGs to be a little bit more adult, looking. Well, granted, there's nothing wrong with a JRPG. Yeah, exactly. There's nothing wrong with a good JRPG. I just haven't played RPGs in a while, so I'm
Like
skipping.
RPGs.
You're not wrong. You're
Ooh.
not wrong. I haven't played a good RPG in a while. Not saying that I wouldn't choose or wouldn't play Phantom Brave, but I'm not picking it this week. The Stone of Madness, whenever I look at it, it looks different. The isometric viewpoints in the gameplay, stealth, puzzle solving, I do like those. However, the setting in an 18th century Spanish monastery, it's like, okay, you had
Come
me,
on.
and then you put me there. It's like, oh, okay, maybe put me in a modern day insane asylum with a modern day setting, but like putting me in that kind of setting just doesn't really do a lot for me. So I don't know if I would pick that one, but if I had to, I'd probably go with the Stone of Madness this week.
TKN85 says, but what is your stance on jiggling JRPG titties, Donnie? This is important.
They are full and bountiful, and the cup runneth over.
Right. This is jiggle physics. Or what's up?
Yeah.
All right, before we move on, let's take a quick break to talk about our sponsor. This segment is proudly sponsored by Gamer Looks at 40 podcast. The show explores the history of video games through the stories and experiences of the people who lived it. So this week's question is, what's a game you started and regret never finishing? Let Bill know your answer by sending him a tweet at Gamer Looks at 40 on Twitter and Blue Sky.
Final Fantasy X.
I'm
Never
judging you
finished
for that
it.
one.
Well, Blitzball. We've had this discussion about Blitzball.
Okay, yeah, no. You could get past the Blitzball. I did.
You think you're better than me?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I suffered through the Blitzball.
And you
I
can
suffered
too.
through the chocobo racing. I suffered through dodging the 200 lightning strikes. You should too.
SNES is life is first time chatter. More games than I can imagine. What's going on, sir? How you doing?
Or ma'am.
No, that's his life. He's a guy. He streams.
Oh, okay. I was looking out just in case.
No, I appreciate it. For me, I think there's a RPG on the Super Nintendo that I've wanted to get into for a while. I've enjoyed like the first part of it, and I just never come back to it for some reason or another. And it's called Robotrek. And
Okay.
it's like an Enix game, right? And it's really good, and it's not your typical RPG. It has to do with like mechs and creating robots and that kind of thing. It's fun. It's really fun. Like every time I played it, I've had fun. I just never, for some reason, get back to it. There's just like maybe that one thing that's missing, that like that feeling. I'm sure you've all felt this way, where you want to come home and play that one game that you've been playing for like 4 days straight because you just want to see what happens next.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, I don't get that with Robotrek, and I don't know why. It'll last for like 2 or 3 days, and then I'll just move on to something else. And I want to finish this game. I want to see what the ending is about. But so far, it just I regret it.
So J Dragon says, I haven't finished Shadow of Colossus or Zelda Skyward Sword.
Ooh.
I Can't See says Devil May Cry 1. SNES's Life says, ooh, I never finished Paper Mario on the 64. Webhead has disappointed me greatly and did not finish Hollow Knight. What the hell, Frank?
Dishonor on you.
Dungy? Yeah. Dishonor on you, dishonor on your cow. Dungy Forever says the Deadpool game. And then Tkin85 says people don't finish the games they start.
Right.
Of course, if you're not in our Discord, you may not know that Terry beats a new game pretty much every day.
Yeah, good lord.
Yeah. So for me, I'm gonna say most recently the one that I regret is I did not finish the Elden Ring DLC. I did everything. I cleared the entire map. I did all the side bosses. I did all the main bosses, and I was climbing the last tower to where you have to fight the second to last boss and then the last boss. And I was like halfway up this tower. And what happened was I finished this really frustrating day at work, and I went down and I turned on Elden Ring, and the logical part of my brain said, you're not in a good place to be doing this right now. But I didn't listen because I was so close to the end. I just wanted to get there. So I climbed up the step. This guy with 2 giant cleavers comes and and there goes my character. Lost 800,000 runes.
Ooh.
And I was just like, you know what? Not right now. And I put it down. And I have not touched it since. And that was probably a good 3 months ago. So now what has happened
Oh,
is when I try to go back, I'm going to be so rusty and just die and die and die.
yeah.
And so, yes, the regret is strong on that one.
I need to play Elden Ring.
I would like that.
I mean, I have it downstairs. It's on my list to play. It's just I haven't gotten around to it. Once I finished Silent Hill 2, I still need to finish Breath of the Wild, which I'm still playing that. But I think maybe after that I'll pick up Elden Ring.
Mhm.
Monday nights, I heard we do that thing where we like play games and stuff.
Where we stream stuff.
I can play Elden Ring but that's going to be a long time playing that game, and I don't want to commandeer every single Monday night that we play with that game. Maybe Ryan could play it as well. We could trade off.
That is true. I do have it for the PS5, so I might be
There you
able to
go.
get better at it.
Elden Ring Virgin.
Yay! Before we move on, can I ask Blue? Can I ask you a question?
What?
Did you like Stranger Things?
Yes.
Did you
No.
like that? Did you like Squid Game?
Yes.
Okay, you know what I do because those were produced by Netflix. I would shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
Oh, in your face.
But wait, let's talk real quick about what Netflix has done with those IPs, shall we? Squeezed and bled, and now they kind of suck.
But they were good. They were good.
At first, and then they ruined it. That's the problem. Is either they ruin it straight out of the gate, or they cancel it before it has a chance, or as if something catches fire, then they're just like, well, now it's going to ruin it because we're going to just go all in on this one thing till people don't like it anymore. So, which, by the way, is also the Disney philosophy.
Disagree.
I'm really looking forward to the post-show discussions. All right. Well, thank you for coming, students. Please take your seats and welcome back to Nostalgia 101. So the question is, have you ever brought up something that you used almost daily to someone of a younger generation and they say, "What's that?" And you're beside yourself that you have to explain the existence and utility of this thing that was ubiquitous in what seemed like almost yesterday?
You
Well,
mean how it's not called the hashtag key on your phone?
right.
Yeah.
Pound key. Yeah. Well, I will say if you haven't experienced this, don't worry, your time will come. And in today's lesson, we're going to be talking about items or experiences or things from the 1980s and 90s that younger generation more than likely have never heard of.
Hmm.
Starting off at number 1. Scratch and sniff stickers.
Oh.
Mm.
There were three tiers of stickers. The regular ones were at the bottom. Still awesome, but they're tier 1. Tier 2 is the puffy stickers.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Tier 3, scratch and sniff.
Scratch
That
and
was
sniff.
epic stickerness.
Stickerness. I like
Stickerness.
that.
Mhm.
So back in my day, these things were everywhere.
Oh,
There
wow.
were magazines. There were prizes in the arcade for tickets. They're giving out to kids like they were going out of style. And yet I haven't seen one in a very long time. Now they were used to promote things. They were collectibles, sometimes even as perfume samples. And in particular, Earthbound made follow smelling ones for their advertisements in Nintendo Power. So I will say though, I've always wondered, how do they work? Well, guess what? We did some research,
Of
right?
course we did.
All right. And it was developed by 3M initially in the 1960s as a way to record signatures on other media, similar to the carbon copy that we're familiar with. Scratch and sniff stickers work by using microencapsulation, a technology that traps fragrance oils inside tiny capsules on a microscopic scale. Originally made, of course, to encapsulate ink rather than oil. Um, they eventually turned, though, to fragrant oils in the mid 1970s. So when you scratch the sticker, friction breaks some of the capsules, releases the fragrant oils, and that evaporates so you can smell it. Which is also why over time and several scratches later, the potency fades. So there you go. Scratch and sniff stickers. Bring them
Hmm.
back, please.
Please.
Please do.
Number 2, Reebok pump shoes. Donnie, did you own any?
Can I got 3 pair in my
Go.
closet. Can I go
Run!
Grab.
Run, Donnie, run!
While he's doing that, I'll explain about Reebok pumps. All right, so if you put half a basketball on the tongue of a pair of sneakers and make it so people can compress them with the promise of more effective shoes, you have
Everybody's
yourself
asleep.
a phenomenon.
What the hell?
Sorry, everybody's asleep. I can't.
We
Okay,
were
oh cool.
promised shoes.
You know what? Do me a favor. Make sure that you post it on Friday
Yes,
and like quoting our tweet for the week or
I will do
whatever.
that.
A skeet, I guess, is what they're calling.
Skeet.
Blue sky. Skeet. Now, these were first released in 1986 and were designed to provide a customized fit by allowing wearers to inflate air chambers in the shoe for a snug, supportive feel. Now, the key feature was a small pump, usually located on the tongue, which users press to fill the internal bladders with air. Now, this was meant to improve ankle support and stability, particularly for basketball players. The real question is, did it actually work? Donnie, do you think it worked?
No, it just basically holds your. It's more stability for your ankle, and that's about it.
Mhm.
It was a gimmick. That's it.
It was, and really, it just depends on who you ask. I'm gonna say it's like placebo effect, but looking objectively, I would say that if there was an advantage, it was minimal, and it's probably actually worse than traditional shoes. So, for one, the air bladder did not provide significant structural support from what would be well-fitting shoes already offered. The mechanism added weight to the sneaker as well, and as far as things go, I mean, if you think about it, it was just marketing. It included
Right.
things like, as part of the dunk contest in 1991, I think D Brown wore them.
Yes, he
Um,
did.
and really, yeah, it was just like this. We came up with this innovation not because it has any practical use, but it looked cool. And I remember at that time, like even movies and stuff included the pump, right? It was a
Mm-hmm.
joke, right? For example, in Robin Hood Men in Tights, he goes, guys, I got to stop. I'm running out of air. And then he pumps up his shoes, right? So I always wanted a pair, never was allowed to have one. So
Never allowed to have one.
apparently, not, well, my parents wouldn't buy them for me. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was
I
too expensive because they were more expensive than regular shoes.
Yeah, I didn't have any as a kid, but when Reebok came back out with the pumps,
Oh,
they
they did
redid them.
re-release.
Yeah, like in 2012, that's when I got my first pair, and they were the battleground ones with the African tribal colors and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Love those, the Reebok black tops. Then I bought a pair of Nerf ones. They're all lime green and orange and all that stuff. And then just a regular pair of Reebok pumps. And I even have a pair of Nike pumps, which don't have the actual pump. They have a device that you stick in the back and it inflates.
That's not as fun as the
No,
the
it's
pump
not.
on the tongue.
Hey, hold on. Let me go get my device to pump out my suit. No.
All right, so number 3 is handheld TVs. So wanted
Okay.
to watch the game,
Yeah.
but also promised others that you would be there for shopping, a sports event, or family gathering. Well, pocket TVs were your friend, helping you neglect people wherever you were. So miniaturized cathode ray tube, better known as CRT, and later LCD technology amazed customers, including the Sony Watchman, which was introduced in 1982, and Casio's Pocket TV as well, eventually included a small LCD TV. And I mean, these were trendy gadgets back in the day. Now, for one, they were not cheap though. So when they first came out, um, they were almost like a status symbol if you could afford them as well. Um, and I got to be honest, they weren't the best gadgets. The reception was really poor on them. The battery life was super short, right? It was like almost Game Gear battery life, and the screen size was not only small, it was low res as well. So
TKN85 says my mom would watch soap operas in the pickup line every day on her handheld TV.
there you
So
go.
I wonder, did it ever like lose reception or lose power, like at the key moment when you're gonna find out who's fucking who?
Of course.
And J Dragon brings up a really good point because the second Game Gear did have an adapter, the
Mhm.
TV adapter on it. I remember that too. It had like the thing where you would get the dial to figure out what channel it was. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that's funny. So I will say though, pocket TVs are actually nowadays more like collector's items. Um, and
Is that a
interestingly,
TV in your pocket, or are
right.
you just happy to see me?
Well, and the funny part about that is that they kind of work. They don't really work because I think it was like what 2009 is when they stopped putting analog airwaves out there, right? So it was all digitized.
Mm.
So I don't even know if they would work nowadays um, with the old school rabbit ears. But I do remember pocket TVs being a thing that people carried around. Number 4 is CD-ROM encyclopedias. So wanted to
No.
look up something for your homework, wanted to just be smarter about a particular topic. Well, prior to the late 80s, you needed to either go to the library or own an expensive encyclopedia hardcover book collection. Now, with the rise of computers and the ability to play multimedia files, so followed the digitization of the encyclopedia. They offered multimedia content, including text, images, audios, and video. While they were definitely a significant leap over traditional encyclopedias, um, there were some things that were a problem. But some examples of those encyclopedias were Encarta, the Grolier Multimedia, as well as Britannica CD. Now, they were popular because they had rich content. I mean, they saved space that they provided. Um, and stuff was searchable, right? And it was a lot cheaper than buying that like entire huge set, the A through Z set that people would come over and try to sell you door to door for your encyclopedia that was going to be potentially like $1,000. It was probably like 500, but still like an outrageous amount of money for it. But you were helping your kid learn and grow.
Sure you were.
Right. Now, what's funny about this is if you think about it, Microsoft, Grolier, and Britannica paid basically a king's ransom to experts to fill these encyclopedias with well researched information, only to be replaced by Wikipedia, a model that offers no payment to contributors whatsoever and is done because they have a passion about a topic. Yes, Blue.
According to the Google, in 1990, the Encyclopedia Britannica cost between $1,000 and $3,000 for
There
the
you go.
32-volume set.
Crazy.
In
And-
1990 money.
Right. So that's more like almost 8,000, I want to say, at the very high end. If we talk about like consumer price index, that's insane.
Yeah.
And
I would not pay $8,000 for a set of books.
No. Anybody can update Wikipedia. That's the problem. Like you can't
I will
trust
say they do a pretty good
100%.
job, though.
Well,
They do a
that's
pretty
why
good-
you don't source Wikipedia on your paper. You source the
Exactly.
source from Wikipedia.
That's right. You click on the source. So, I will say though, CD-ROMs were encyclopedia CD-ROMs were a stepping stone towards more digital information access. Obsolete today, of course, but they definitely paved the way for things like e-learning or online research platforms. So, thank you for your short-lived tenure of about 10 years. And number 5 is smoking sections.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm. Smoking or non-smoking was a question you often heard if asked by a hostess at a restaurant, a sales rep at the airport, or even a ticket collector at the movie theater, right? And in the 80s and 90s, it was common for restaurants, airports, offices, and other public establishments to have designated smoking sessions. Now, these areas were meant to accommodate smokers while theoretically keeping non-smokers in separate spaces. However, the effectiveness of smoking sections in preventing secondhand smoke exposure was questionable at best. I would say it drifted over quite often. Because if I remember right too, like with restaurants and stuff, it was just like a wall.
Yup.
That was the difference. Or like, but like not one that went all the way to the ceiling. It was like, just like a divider,
Right here.
right?
Right here. That's the wall.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's not even a thing that's like 80s and 90s necessarily. Even in the early 2000s, I was waiting tables in a restaurant with a smoking section.
Right. And in fact, though, what's interesting is that living in New York, that the like moratorium on smoking sessions actually ended earlier, right? So it was like early 2000s. All these laws went into place. They went with OSHA, right?
Hmm.
Um, so no smoking whatsoever inside, unless you're something like 40% of your sales were dedicated to tobacco. So there were certain bars that sold cigars and cigarettes that you could smoke at,
Mm,
but that was it.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it wasn't like I was saying, it wasn't until the 2000s where the abolishment of smoking sections really took hold. Many laws were passed, obviously, to kind of ban the existence of smoking sessions to improve public health. But if you're curious what the 80s and 90s smelled like, part of the odor would absolutely have been burning tobacco.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember going to bars constantly on the weekends or wherever, and every single time you'd come home, take off all your clothes, and they would just reek of cigarette smoke. You were saturated in it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And now,
At
for the most, go ahead.
the restaurant, my section was the smoking section.
Ugh.
It was essentially the bar section and it was the smoking section. I made a ton of money there, but then every night you got to take 6 showers because
Hmm.
it won't come out.
And that's the worst thing. Like you couldn't go somewhere afterwards, right?
Yeah.
So I'm assuming too, like you came home and people are like,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yep.
Your roommates don't like just straight to the bathroom with you.
All right. So to wrap things up, though, what are some of the items or things or experiences that you remember from the past that more than likely younger generations would not be aware of? Let me know on our social media accounts like Twitter, Blue Sky, Gmail, Discord, whatever. Let me know. I'd be curious to hear what your examples are. I tried to pick ones that weren't obvious, like a beeper or something like that. I tried to
Beep,
find
beep,
something a
beep,
little
beep,
bit
beep, beep.
more, yeah, a little bit more less obvious, but still like, oh yeah, I remember
Palm Pilot.
that. You got it. Well, thank you for attending today's Nostalgia 101. And just a reminder, if you have ideas for a story or topic you'd like to hear, send us a message at gamersweekpodcast@gmail.com and we might feature your suggestion. All right. So thank you for listening to episode 150 of Gamers Week Podcast. And a big thank you to the Retro Game Club Podcast, Love Retro BTW, and A Gamer Looks at 40 Podcast and Pixel Pond Production Company for sponsoring this episode. Don't forget to check out their links in the show notes. And if you want to connect with Gamers Week, follow us on Twitter and Blue Sky at Gamers Week PC. Watch us right here on Twitch at twitch.tv/GamersWeekPodcast, where we record live every Wednesday at 8:30 Central Time. Email us at gamersweekpodcast@gmail.com. Visit our merch store at gamer-week-podcast.creator-spring.com. Or if you want to do it the easy way, follow the link in the show notes. And last but not least, join us on Patreon at patreon.com/gamersweek. And finally, since you made it all the way to the end of the episode, please leave us a rating or review to let us know how we did. We really do value your feedback, and while you're there, consider subscribing on iTunes, Spotify, or your podcast platform of choice. I have to Google what cockles look like.
There's a cockle emote in the Discord. I
Right, we
made
should
one.
pull that over.
Oh, you
we should
did?
definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It needs to get on over here in the Twitch chat.
Mm-hmm.
And it smells like
Satisfaction
Aragorn.
wants it smells like Aragorn
Oh,
emote
I
too.
like that. That's a
We
great
could just
one.
get one of Aragon making like a stank face.
Stank faced Aragorn. Okay.
Yep. Thank you everyone so much. Thank you for all the congratulations on the 150 episodes. It really means a lot that you guys have stuck with us for this long.
150. Here's to 150 more.
If the Earth still exists, then.
Which, fingers crossed.
Right. Knock on wood.
Yeah. 3 years. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Totally fine.
All right. So why don't we go ahead and raid PixelPon?
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't have the ability to do that.
I don't see why not. You're a mod.
I know. Last time I tried to do that, it wouldn't let me do it.
Okay. Give me just a second, guys. We're going to go to PixelPon Productions. They are straight back from MagFest, so you'll get to hear about all of their exciting adventures, and it looks like they're playing some retro. So we're going to send you guys on over there. And again, thank you very much for hanging out with us tonight for our 150th episode, and we will see you back Monday and next Wednesday. Take care.
Monday, where one of these two will play Elden Ring.
Or we still have to finish up the other game, but
Yeah, we do have to
Okay,
finish up.
yeah.
True.
Yeah, we can definitely finish that one up. But take care. Have a good night, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.
And let's go to stop streaming. Oh, there.